Guys, so Kathleen Spizzato here from Pomfret. I just got done at the gym, early morning Saturday gym sesh, got my coffee ready, and trying something new today. I wanted to do a reaction video. I'm going to play for you the audio from this past week's Board of Selectmen meeting and kind of give my reaction to it. Love to hear in the comments, what do you think about this meeting and how it went? And how do you expect your Board of Selectmen meetings to go? How do you expect them to look? So let's see if this meets your expectations. It definitely didn't meet my expectations of what I thought goes on in a Board of Selectmen meeting. So hold on one sec. I'm going to hit play here. I might pause sometimes just so you guys can hear my thoughts on a few things, but I'm going to push the play button right here. Hopefully you can hear it well. This was an 8 a.m. Tuesday meeting. It was a special meeting.
We're good to go. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Thanks for joining us. I'd like to open our meeting for Tuesday, April 21st, 8 a.m. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from April 6th.
Approve the minutes.
I have read them and I don't see any issues with them.
I have read them and I find a couple of different issues with them.
That's Martha Emilio.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for discussion.
And that's Maureen that wanted to just make a motion and not hear what Martha had to say.
First of all, I made a couple of motions that were not put in their entirety, which I had asked Bonnie to do. I do have a copy of them.
If I could just interject here, we won't have direct communication with the clerk because she's not part of the board.
Okay. Martha, do not talk to the clerk.
Yes.
Okay? She's not part of the board. You can't talk to her.
Because I had asked,
despite the fact I've seen other people talk to her during the meeting,
its entirety at the last meeting,
I
and
understand.
they were basically not. It was just a brief synopsis. I think so. If you could do that, that was what was supposed to be done.
And I appreciate your request. That isn't always how the minutes are handled, though.
How are minutes handled, guys?
I understand.
Wait, when I'm reading, well,
it's not.
it is not verbatim, but
I asked
it is the absolute.
It's not.
No, it is not verbatim. I agree.
Thank you, Patrick. You agree it's not verbatim?
The spirit of what your emotions were presenting.
What's the spirit of her motions? I'd love to know what he thinks the spirit is.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
They're right here, Peter.
I know I have copies of them.
Okay. I had asked that.
I understand.
So I would like that to be amended as such.
Would you guys like to know what the actual full motion was? I would, but the minutes.
You guys know that? You have to make a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion that at the previous meeting, I had asked that the motions be put into the record in their entirety, and they do not. They were summarized. So I would respectfully request that they get put in.
Common sense request, in my opinion.
We don't appear to have a second on that motion.
I'm just.
Of course, we don't have a second.
Baffled. I'm reading.
They haven't seconded anything Martha's made a motion on.
I'm reading through the synopsis of the first motion right here, and all that's missing is words. There's nothing there that's not.
Again.
It's not in the spirit of what the motion is. And this is what minutes are for.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause this for a second. So what you heard Patrick say is all that's missing are words. I mean, come on. I think that's what Martha's point is, right? There are important words from her motion that she requested to be in the minutes that she made and they didn't second and didn't pass, but she wanted a record of the motions that were made. And Patrick says, all I see missing are words. Yeah, of course, Patrick, there are words missing. That is why she's making a motion to amend the minutes to reflect what the actual motions that she made that you guys denied were. I mean, it was crazy when I was sitting here listening to this the other day, driving in my car, and I was like, wait a minute, did you really just say that? Martha's like asking him, yeah, what's missing? Tell the public what's missing. And he wouldn't tell the public what's missing. He just says, what's missing are words, guys. So when I say on Facebook, which you've seen me say a lot, the minutes do not accurately reflect what takes place in these meetings in Pomfret. That is 100% fact, and this is proof of that. Happens in my meetings. It happens in the other meetings. Planning and Zoning this week put out their minutes. They didn't even put the vote for the regional animal control facility, which monopolized most of that 3-hour meeting, by the way. the vote for that text amendment did not even show up in the minutes. So I'm telling you guys, these minutes are not accurate. They're not a good public record, and you should be demanding more. So, all right, I'm going to hit play again.
I hear you, but I also asked for it, as it has it been in the past, were submitted in its entirety, Patrick. And it's been in the past, the last 5 motions I had made were not. So it's,
I think,
for transparency's sake.
I'm in agreement that I think we summarized what the intent of the motion was. And the minutes are not a transcript.
She didn't ask for a transcript.
But it doesn't, I don't feel
We don't
like
have a second on your motion. We're going to move on.
Oh, of
Okay.
course
I
you're
have
going to move on.
In other business, under budget discussion, it should reflect that the budget was
Hang on.
Well,
We haven't approved the minutes yet. We're not in
No,
that
of course,
part.
Maureen. Martha doesn't want to approve the minutes because they're not accurate.
okay,
That's the
as I
point she's
said, in
making.
other business, budget discussion, it should reflect that the budget item was not taken up or it was skipped rather than no discussion. No discussion kind of implies that we looked at
Yes,
it.
I will accept responsibility for that. I neglected to bring that up. It's my fault. I skipped it because we interrupted our agenda.
Oh, that was when we skipped to get to firefighter.
So I appreciate the fact that Maureen took some accountability there. She did say that was her fault. She runs the meeting. She's the chair, the person that runs the meeting. And they last meeting did not talk about the budget. She skipped over that item on the agenda and went into other items and never went back to it, which I find that kind of hard to believe that that was an accident. We're in the thick of budget season, and that's like everybody's top priority right now. So how do you forget to go on the agenda that you have in front of you and discuss that topic? But they did. And then it was put on the minutes that there just wasn't a discussion, but it didn't even get brought up. It was completely skipped. So that is why Martha would like the public to also know that fact.
Yeah, and then I didn't go back to it. So, yeah.
All right,
I would take responsibility for, I did want to bring that up for discussion.
So
we were trying to get out of the building, I think.
I hear that, but I
You're
think it
trying to get out
also
of the
should
building.
read, instead of no discussion, that it should be taken up, not taken up, or not reached. The conclusion.
Accurate.
I think no discussion.
You can change it to table.
No, we didn't.
We didn't table it. We didn't, it wasn't taken up, it wasn't discussed.
Wasn't brought up.
I think no discussion reflects what happened at the meeting.
Of course.
I totally disagree.
Okay. Is there anything else?
That's
Was
it.
that a motion?
Sure.
There's no second on that motion. Do we have a second?
Of course, there's no second.
Approval of the minutes as presented.
Yes, I'll second it as you wish.
Aye.
Nay.
And that's Martha voting against the minutes because they're not accurate, despite what other two people would like to say.
Correspondence. I don't have any. Patrick has,
Correspondence is a good one too. This one made me laugh.
A letter that was addressed to the Board of Finance, but the Chairman of the Board of Finance, Ryan Gould, forwarded over to me as you were.
She did send it to me as well.
So there you hear Patrick and Maureen both state that Noreen Ringgold from the Board of Finance sent a letter that she received over to them. Now, what you don't hear is pretty comical to me. Listen closely to this.
That's the only correspondence I have relating to
Right.
town business.
I think they discussed that at the meeting and
Who's the letter from?
That specific letter.
What did they discuss?
But that was going to be taken up at their next.
Could you read the letter to me? I did not get it.
You composed it.
Oh, that letter. You didn't say which letter.
Oh, yes.
You did not say which letter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. No,
Okay.
it was the one that you and Ms. Pizzato presented
Right.
to the Board of Finance 1 hour before their meeting started, so they did not take it up.
Because I had that ready for our budget last month.
Okay, so here you hear Patrick bring up some correspondence received. You do not hear him let the public in this public meeting know what that correspondence was. He told us where it came from, but no context at all. Martha asks for some details because she's unaware of what letter he's referencing. And then he says, you wrote it with Miss Pizzato and gave it to the Board of Finance 1 hour before their meeting, which I'm sorry, Patrick, that sounds so condescending. And who cares what time before the meeting it was when they were after that putting out emails that they haven't gotten any participation and they're not getting any people interested in helping them with this budget, which is complete BS, by the way. We had a very well thought out letter that we sent to the Board of Finance. We had some very detailed questions after all the budget workshops and all the meetings that have taken place, and asked some things very relevant to what they should be asking when approving these budgets. And you know what they did? They pushed it back and said this should be for the Board of Selectmen to answer, which you just heard the response from the Board of Selectmen, which was basically, let's not even talk about who the letter's from. Let's not talk about the context or questions in this letter. And the Board of Finance is addressing it. I'm sorry. You all know that that is complete bullshit. Sorry to swear, guys, but that's how I feel about it. That's the reality of it. It is complete bullshit. And that is what you see here with the gaslighting and that came in 1 hour before. I don't care. That was several weeks ago now. And this is your second meeting since then. And you haven't addressed it because at the first meeting since then, you skipped talking about budget altogether. And now when you're coming back and you're talking about the correspondence you got, you're trying to skip talking about the correspondence. So just thought that was very important to point out there. Thought it was very funny. I was, again, driving in my car to an appointment listening to this and was like, these people cannot be serious. But that is how they treat the citizens that send in questions, real questions, but then they push out to the public like, hey, we just can't get people engaged on this. People aren't helping with this. People aren't asking questions. Yes, they are. You're just not willing to answer the questions. Let's be real. All right, let's get started back again.
Our last meeting.
Oh, you just brought it up.
Oh, Martha should have brought it up. You run the meeting. You make that very clear, Maureen. So why are you saying Martha should have brought it up?
That there was a budget discussion that was on the agenda.
Well, I was just watching how the agenda was going.
Okay.
Good for you, Martha.
Citizens'
It's embarrassing.
comments. Hang on just a minute. I have to read our statement that
Citizens' comments, guys. Another one of my favorite parts of these
reading now
meetings.
for all of our citizens' comments. This is a public meeting, but it's not a meeting with the public. While public participation is valued and encouraged, the board is not able to respond to comments at the time they are made. The board may discuss and take action only on items that appear on the posted agenda in order to provide proper public notice. When a response to a comment is appropriate, the matter will be placed on a future agenda or referred to the administration for review and subsequent report. After being recognized, please state your name and address for the record. Speakers are asked to be respectful and limit their remarks to 3 minutes.
Okay. So one thing about that, in all of our meetings, they read these ridiculous statements. I think they're very ridiculous. These are not meetings with the public, but they're meetings in public. I think you should try to strive to do a better job. We can. It's not illegal for us to talk to people in the public at these meetings. I think that they, in Pomfret especially, have gotten so like closed down and aren't doing things transparently by the book that they have made a rule, like this like unspoken rule that we can't talk to the public at a meeting because they might get themselves in trouble by saying the wrong thing, because everything they do lately seems to be very scripted and methodical and not in the public's eye all the time. So they have to be very careful because they might get themselves in trouble. I think if we were doing things honestly and transparently, we wouldn't have to sit there and tell the public, like, you can ask questions, but we're just going to stare at you and then maybe add it to the agenda next month. And probably not. We'll probably just forget about it and not even add it. Or maybe we'll talk to you privately because we don't want to address it publicly and we can't have everybody knowing how we're addressing this. It's utterly ridiculous. I hope that changes in the future. Apparently, it didn't used to be this way. I'm being told by other people that in the past, prior to Maureen, there were citizens' comments where citizens were able to talk and have a dialogue with their leadership. They weren't just told they're going to have to wait until another date, but they can talk at us. That's ridiculous. Also, you'll notice in some meetings, it's not consistent. It depends on the chair of the meeting, what they want to do. So they'll read these ridiculous statements, and then I'll see half the time that they're responding, they're reacting, they're saying things, they're disputing, whatever it may be. They are not just sitting there and adding it to another agenda. They pick and choose who they want to talk to and who gets answers and who doesn't. So now let's hear the first citizen's comment of the meeting. You guys are going to love this one.
I think that took longer than 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the board? Okay, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jim Rivers. I live in Conway.
Jim Rivers, folks.
And,
Wait, I want to point out one thing. Hold on. Let me pause. He just said he lives in Killingley. So he's coming to an 8 a.m. Pomfret Board of Selectmen meeting, which I find very interesting. But the week before at Planning and Zoning, he literally said to one of the people who spoke against the regional animal facility because it's going to be abutting near her property that they're neighbors in Pomfret on Cyril's Road. So which is it, Jim? Killingly or Pomfret? Or does it just depend on what meeting you're at? Okay. How to get that out there.
Nearly a full week of Pomfret last week, started Friday with the ceremony to open the library. She missed the first slide. And then I proceeded to have a number of events in Pomfret, which was sort of good because I hadn't done that in some time. And it reminded me of something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while. We tried to get you on the radio in December, I guess your last meeting as the chair of NECOG, and you were there for 3 years. And I said something at the last planning and zoning meeting in March that I was testifying for application. And I said that Danny was the top 3 contributors to the town over the years in my lifetime. But I didn't say who the other 2 were, and I was waiting for somebody to ask me, but I would say easily, Madam First Selectman, you are the #1 contributor to this town. And I want to make sure I say that over and over again before I croak. That what you have done for this community is enormous. And I see all these communities now, I see 16 communities. And
16
you have done so much, and so much that you didn't pay for many of those years that you contributed. You're not.
First Selectman does get a salary, guys. I think it's close to 70,000, so you do get paid for this stuff.
People would not be here today if you were not doing that paper for many years. And it's fair, it's balanced. No other town has something like that. But all the contributions you made, and I got to tell you that everybody I ran into in the last week really appreciates you recently. And they've come up to me, and I crossed many bounds in this town. Different affiliations and people, and it was a lot of Republicans that said that.
What?
They really appreciate you. And that's the first thing they'd say. They'd come up running up to me and say.
First thing they say is I'm a Republican and I support Marines. I kind of called bull on that.
People outside, people like farmer friends, they had no, they really appreciate you right now.
Jim, how do you know there are Republicans running up to you? Like, that's such an odd statement to make. Let's be real.
Right, and I never do enough of this for you because you have done a lot for Pomfret and for the region for that matter.
Say me. Just say you've done a lot for me.
Thank you.
So, if you don't know, Jim's part of NECOG, who did the presentation at the Planning and Zoning. They're trying to move a regional animal facility, biggest in the state, his words on Winnie, to Pomfret. It got pushed through Planning and Zoning. I mean, they had more people speak against it, but they just looked the other way and said, oh yeah, we'll change the zoning for this project coming down the pipe. So I think it's interesting that right after that meeting, he's here at this meeting, buttering up the first select woman and saying all these things that people go running to him to tell him what a great job she does. And that even Republicans, like, come on, let's be real. Okay. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing our town to say that. I did have someone try to argue with me on Facebook this past week. They were upset with some of the things that I've been calling out that are illegal, like withholding public records when you are FOIA'd for those records. That's illegal. You can't do that. But that has happened by our first select woman. And the lady tried to say, basically, I was wrong and that she's well loved and she's got so many people that supported her and voted for her. I'm sorry. Let's talk facts, okay? If you go look at the elections, like this is a 3rd term, right? Go look at how each election compares. The numbers are going down. The number of voters are going up, but the number of voters supporting are going down. It was 38% of the votes that supported, and it was the only option. There was no other option. So that means there were 62% of people that said, you're the only option and I'm not voting for you. So I don't think that that is working in your favor to say that you're so beloved and that you've done so much good for this town. I think it actually shows a statement of the opposite, that people don't like the way the town is being run. They don't like that it's not being addressed. And it's just everything's getting swept under the rug and done behind closed doors and it's not being transparent. So I think the numbers speak for themselves. 62% of people said you're the only option. Still no. So Jim, I don't know what you're talking about all these Republicans that run up to you and all these people this past week, but I feel like that's a really funny statement to make. And of course, the timing, I'm going to question the timing when you're coming to our town to want something big moving here. Of course, you're going to schmooze over the leadership. So that's what it looks like, calling it what it is.
Very much. Appreciate that, Jim. We've had a lot of good years together. We've worked together for, I don't know, decades. Yeah. and had some great projects. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sure, we'll see you
And,
again.
new business, shared town administrator update. We've got Mary with us today. We've got Jordan out on maternity leave.
Right, Jordan is out on maternity leave at the moment, but I've been working, most of my time has been focused on assisting Deb with supplying the auditors with information for performing the audit work, and trying to walk her, get through the information that's being asked and the format that it's being asked and how we can effectually get that to them. She's been really trying to trudge through that while staying current in the current year.
So I want to say I think Mary's doing a good job so far. I don't know her super well, but from what I've seen in the meetings I've gone to and my interactions with her, I do think Mary is doing a good job on the town administrator side and she's got her work cut out for her, no doubt. So thank you to Mary. I think you're doing a good job. Keep it up, please. And I'll say, I want to point that out. She's talking about our audit. Do you guys know that the 2024-2025 audit is not done? It's not done. And we just found out at the Board of Ed meeting the other night that we probably won't be done by June 30th either. So that's just a little interesting tidbit for you to know. But Mary's working really hard trying to help the people facilitating all the stuff that they need for the audit to get done. But hey, Pomfret, why were you so behind? I mean, we have the non-lapsing stuff. Is that part of it?
A very difficult balance. Also, a lot of my time has been spent, our legislation is in session, so I've been advocating and speaking with regards to the ECS formula and adjusting that formula. So the governor announced last week that he's creating a blue ribbon committee to further dive into the ECS formula. We're still advocating for the base formulation adjustment to 16,000 for the per pupil base. However, with that adjustment, that does not change pretty much any of the ECS funding to the northeast corner at all. The only town that sees an adjustment close to us is Griswold. There's other pieces of that formula that needs to be adjusted, that needs to be corrected to recognize the costs for rural and to adjust off of some of the archaic formulations that they're using that really penalize smaller communities. So I, as the cost president, I will be a member of that committee.
Congratulations to Jordan, by the way, on his baby.
Can you stand in and tell us what happened at the last Plan of Conservation and Development?
I wasn't there.
Okay. Nobody was there. I don't know.
Isn't that the problem?
Yeah, right.
Martha was there.
Were you not?
I was there. Yes, I
Can you
was.
share with us, Martha?
A lot of maps, a lot of discussion. We're moving. No, he wasn't there either. Trying to move forward with the zoning and the new map layers.
What new zoning are we?
Wow. We just went over different districts of I had my notes with me. What we looked at different maps concerning open space versus what it's zoned as. Did they take any minutes?
Yeah, they did. That's how I knew you attended.
Yeah.
And that's
So you're
all.
working
that's
with
all I
it.
could
Very
say.
confused. It was all it was the conceptual side
Yeah.
that they
Yes.
were reviewing. So they were.
And there were a lot of questions on different properties.
So Patrick read the minutes and he knew Martha was there, but stayed silent in the beginning and waited and they preferred to ask anybody but Martha basically what happened at the meeting. And I find it interesting that he wouldn't bring the minutes to his meeting knowing that their agenda has an update for POCD. It doesn't seem like our town cares too much about the POCD, to be honest. I was brought up in the planning and zoning and you can hear them on one of my blogs. They did a long elaborate thing about how it's not the end all be all. And basically, because people asked, did this regional animal facility go with the POCD plan for our town and the vision for our town for the next 10 years? And they just pretended like the POCD and the plan doesn't really matter that much and that they'll just alter the plan later to fit that in. So, I mean, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, but that's how Pomfret thinks it's supposed to work.
Right. They were asking people to give indications of, what's the vision, what do they see, and, how would those different, what would the zoning look like if, somebody wanted commercial or industrial in certain places, more open space in other places, and what that
And then
was.
some of the property wasn't listed properly as districts, whether it was a commercial district, especially on Pomfret Street. There was some question of how they were vision appraisal. It was a different kind of, and it was something else. But yeah, check the minutes.
The next meeting is Tuesday, I just wrote it down, May 16th.
Next POCD meeting, if you guys want to attend.
Is that right? May
See what they
13th. Sorry, May 13th.
Oh, May 13th, she said. She corrected it.
I hope we'll get a better turnout there
Yeah.
because it's.
I
don't
hope we
want
get people
to
that
ask
care
exact
about
same
what
thing
the
that doesn't
community
represent
wants.
What I think my town should look like.
Well, we've done everything short. It's not
I know.
So you hear Patrick and Maureen here talking about how they've done everything they can to get people to these meetings to come out, and they don't want to hear people later say that the town isn't going with the vision that they had for it if they haven't come and participated in this POCD process. But I'm sorry, the people you have participating in that process or listening to the community last week didn't care what the residents wanted because they spoke, and you still voted the opposite of how they spoke. So I think it's comical that you make these statements in public and that they go out to the public and it's not even truly how you feel, because you wouldn't have people voting the opposite of what the majority wants if that was true. Let's be real.
General discussion?
General
Does
discussion.
not have anything on general discussion.
Martha does.
A few things
Okay.
that were brought up in previous meetings, and I just didn't know if there were any updates. The Murdoch solar array, is there anything going on with that?
Good question.
No, we're just following up on whether it's a possibility or not.
And the Killingly Pomfret sewer update. No update on that?
No.
Update.
Okay. Nothing's been going on.
Nothing will go on. It's just that we register
Remember those
our
statements,
intent.
guys. We're telling you, remember these
Keeping
statements right now.
Spur
viable.
There's a huge
Connect.
expansion at the one at the hub in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yeah.
Because they're going to actually have to move all of the recreation department fields to accommodate. Have fun walking that trail because it's all border the water.
Thanks,
In
Patrick.
Killingly,
Yeah.
not Brooklyn. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
Killingly.
it's Warrigan Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Killingly.
Killingly.
That's the Killingly wastewater treatment.
Oh, that one, yeah. Oof. Is it
Water treatment that sits in Brooklyn.
No, it's not.
It's
It's in Killingly.
God, what a messed up map that.
That is Killingly. The other side of the river is Brooklyn. But that side of the river is Killingly. Yeah.
There it
Okay.
is. There it is.
think how they get their mail? Is there any the ARPA fund? Is there any accounting? 'Cause
Favorite
I know
part?
we're in the last
Favorite question?
hurrah of spending the money. Is there any accounting?
The last hurrah of spending the money. I
Numbers
first off
that
have
we
to
have
say, I love how Martha put that. The last hurrah of spending the money. If you guys don't know, we've asked a lot of questions about the ARPA funds. They've been spent on things that I don't feel in our committee doesn't feel they should have been spent on. Our school is in dire need of a playground, but instead they went to the Pomfret Forest and other places that may not have been a priority to the majority, but were a priority to a minority who thought they could just do things the way they want and start construction in without a permit and go against easements and such not. You've seen us post about it. You know what we're talking about. There's also funding that was taken for virtual meetings. Hey guys, how many of our boards and commissions are offering virtual meetings right now? We just started the Board of Ed, but guess what? We don't have any high-tech equipment from any grant funds that have been provided for us to have these meetings virtual. So where is the funding for virtual meetings? That was in the ARPA. I'd love to know where it is. Martha would love to know if there is accounting on these ARPA funds. So that is the question she just asked. And listen to this response.
Quarterly accounting that goes in.
There's quarterly accounting, says Maureen.
NECOG is handling a lot.
NECOG is handling it.
Is there any way we can get those?
Jim?
There's not much. Everything had to be obligated at the end.
Oh, I realize that. I just would like to see numbers.
What numbers are you looking for?
Just a reconciliation of the
First off, who
projects.
cares what number she's looking at? She can look at any of these. They're public record and she's a
I
selectman.
thought we went through that once already. We did that.
We did that.
But I haven't seen anything from NECOG. We went through it, but there was no paperwork to back up the information. That's all. I just want to see
I guess what I might want, what are you looking for backup paperwork?
Now Mary's asking
From
what she
was given
wants.
previously, what they gave
money
previously was
paperwork.
how much the
Right.
budgeted and then how much was expended.
Was expended.
Correct.
So she was given how much was budgeted and how much was expended. She's asking now for more details. Now you have two people at the meeting asking her, what are you looking for? Like it's a crazy question she's asking, but I don't think it's a crazy question she's asking because there are things that were in there that were budgeted for that we don't have. So I think asking for the accounting as a select person is kind of your duty and right. And I don't think anybody should be questioning what she's looking for or why she's asking, but it goes on. It gets even better.
And in 2000, when it started, to break down by year
Reasonable.
and the amount up to now.
So I think what was provided was how much was budgeted for each of the projects and what the remaining balance was, or what
Okay.
was still, what had been
So there's
completed
no-
and fully expended.
There's no itemized
Um,
paperwork that
so
I could
I,
look at, the counting, where it was put.
so everything is done within the individual years, right?
Right.
So,
Because they
that
go
would be
by
a task.
they go by calendar year as opposed to our fiscal year.
Oh, all right. I can.
Help with this.
I got
well-
an anxious.
We've got someone in the
Jumping
know.
up,
We've got
I
someone
can
in the
pull-
know.
I
Jim's
was-
jumping in as a citizen.
You do the
If I may, through
Yes,
you,
please.
I want to keep speaking.
You
up.
do the
Why
recognized
I should go to a
The
meeting.
board recognizes Jim Rivers.
So we
Thank you.
provided, for all the towns.
But don't talk to the town clerk.
I think maybe one or two are doing it wrong, but we provide, because it's in the rear end, the quarterly reporting that the government, federal government
Okay.
requires.
So NECOG does the quarterly reporting that the government requires because it's a pain in the butt. And Jim is saying they do it for most towns. There's 2 towns he's saying do it on their own. But NECOG is providing it for most towns around here. So interesting tidbit. NECOG is who's in charge helping us with our town administrators that we have now. NECOG's involved now in the regional animal control sector, and now NECOG's in control of the accounting of these ARPA grant funds too. That seems to be a problem when Martha wants to know, where's the accounting? Can I see any of the accounting on this? I mean, come on, guys, we took a bunch of money to our town. We should have some books, right? There should be a paper trail somewhere, right? I mean, I don't think it's too crazy to ask.
We have that in binders in our office. It's about
Binders.
this thick for each town, I believe.
Thick binders.
So there's those quarterly reports that go to the government, so
Right.
it's,
Right.
you know,
Quarterly reports that
Project,
supposedly go to the government. It shouldn't be a big deal to look at those.
Having had $7 million in Wyndham to expend within a certain amount of time, I would.
We're not talking about Wyndham, Jim. We're talking about Pomfret.
Often, you know, the categories are extremely broad, so it's, you just gotta show them that you spent it, because if you didn't spend it, you have to give it back.
Correct.
Most of the towns, Maureen reported to me, Maureen had,
So he's telling us that it's very broad. You just have to show him that you spent it. So what he's telling me here, and Martha will confirm this when she looks over these binders, is that it's not probably itemized very well, and you can't probably see easily where this money is going, but they just have to prove they spent it or else you have to give it back. So it makes me, what I hear from that statement is, yeah, we just made it look like it's spent. Like that's what happened. We have quarterly reports that we do making it look like it's spent. So that way we don't have to give it back.
as the finance director at NECOG, reported to me that all towns, that maybe 2 or 3, not Pomfret, but all towns, but 2 or 3 have not yet expended all of their funds. But I think Pomfret was one of those towns that has finished expending.
We have a couple of projects that are not completed yet.
So we haven't
The
expended
vast
all of it.
majority are completed.
Interesting.
Okay, so
I'd
I
love to know
The
what
money-
wasn't
the funds
expended
are
yet.
obligated, but they.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm confused.
Yes.
Obligated.
Yeah, they're fully
Yeah.
obligated.
Okay, so this,
And then
you have to obligate by a certain date,
Yes.
you have to spend by another date, so.
Yep.
Anyway, there are those reports, I don't, you know, it's a pretty thick binder.
May I have access to it?
You want
As a
to look at it, or you want copies of it?
I'll look at it.
You can go to the
Okay.
office and look at it.
So it's a pretty thick binder. I mean, I'm sure you're not sending a thick binder every quarter to the government, Jim. So I would think that it's pretty much, there's got to be some kind of good quick summary that you are either emailing or mailing in every quarter. So I don't think you're sending a big thick binder. So I think it's very interesting that they just keep on talking about how thick this binder is and what do you want, copies, or you want to look at it? Like, I mean, I think she should do both. I think she should be getting copies of it and look at it in person and see what they give her for copies, because I don't know, something just doesn't sound right here to me. But I have been told that I think the worst.
Thank you.
But sorry, I don't think that's true.
Who should I contact?
But I've seen it as a rack of all these binders.
Who should I contact there?
Maureen Adams.
You hear Martha feverishly writing it down.
I have enough binders.
Make a day of it.
And then people had asked me about the incident in Mashmucket State Park, where there
Child
was
molester just got arrested.
When did it happen? I think it was last month. The guy was
Got on Winnie.
attacking children or whatnot.
Well, that's from a year ago.
Was it a?
That was the publication of an arrest made after an investigation from the
Yep,
previous
that
year.
was in the news last
Although
month.
my knowledge of it comes from reading news
Winnie.
reports
Okay.
from various.
Is there
outlets.
anything we can?
We have, it had nothing to do with us.
Did we know about this incident?
No.
Nothing to do
No.
with us. Happened in
It's a
our
long
park,
person,
but
Okay.
They don't share any of that information.
They wouldn't share that on the monthly
No.
that we get.
It would come up as an investigation or one of their three categories. It would just be.
It would be a number.
Wow.
We don't get that level of a report
Correct. We don't get any of those
because
details.
of privacy laws.
Correct.
And
And active investigation.
Happened with the accident that happened in the Pomfret Forest, were there any?
are you speaking of the one back in like November or December?
January.
The one it happened in January
January.
2026. I didn't know if there was any repercussions to the town, if there were any lawsuits. I just
Oh,
needed an
absolutely
update.
not. Actually, I've spoken to the woman. She is the person who happens to cut my wife's hair.
Oh, there you go.
And she
Good.
was entirely apologetic, saying there was no reason for the two of them to be out there. It was just a nice day, and they decided.
I don't think you need to apologize for being out there. I think that's
such a disruption.
I would like
Interesting
to
statement.
clarify something on that because it keeps coming up, unfortunately. And we want transparency.
Oh, yes, we do want transparency.
I came into work that day and there were the rescue team from Eastford was in the parking lot at the town hall. And I asked them where they were headed, and they said there had been an accident on the airline trail. I asked them if they needed a key to get into the airline trail gate, and they said no, someone was feeding them on the airline trail, that the accident had occurred on the airline trail. And then I had phone calls
Not what
with
I
town
heard.
hall about it, and I relayed that the information I had was that the accident was on the airline trail. Then I
Phone
had a
calls
call
to
from
Winnie.
WINY saying that they had received calls from people on the scene from our first responders that the accident was in Pomfret Forest. And I
Where it
said,
was.
I don't know. I will call our fire chief, Brett Shelton. And I called Brett.
So important to note here, you don't know the facts completely. You jumped the gun and spoke on the record to a news source that this accident happened at the wrong place. That's what happened. You're saying your first responders told you one thing. I was immediately alerted from first responders, quite the opposite first thing when it happened. So I find it hard to believe you were told the wrong thing from the get-go, but maybe let's say that's true. I don't know why you're talking to the news media before you've even gotten all the facts and while it's actively going on, right? So why would you not just not make a statement yet and get back to them or let them know that you're still trying to figure it out? You know that these trails and places intertwine. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was jumping the gun to, you talk about making it about something other than the person. You were trying to make it about something other than the person. It was focused on the location the entire time. You didn't even have to talk about that, but you did. And then when Winnie contacted you because they've got clarification from the people that are in the know and that were actually the first responders, I still don't know how first responders told you the wrong place, but the ones that were actually the first responders knew the right place right away. They knew enough to tell me. They knew enough to tell Winnie. They knew enough to tell other people. And so I don't think it was fair to go on the record and say the wrong place, especially with all the controversy over the Pomfret Forest over the past year. So, and I don't think the person that was out there should be apologizing about anything. I mean, yeah, it's probably dangerous, but it's your right you get to go out there. They've given the green light on this. So I don't think you did anything wrong, just so we're aware. We're all glad that you're okay. But I do think the whole situation was handled ridiculously, and it's still ongoing, handled ridiculously. And it has nothing to do with you. So glad you're okay.
Sheldon, and I said, why is calling me? They want to know where the accident is. All I know is that it was on the airline trail. He said, no, yeah, he said, we were toned out to the airline trail. That's where they were told to go. The accident actually did happen on Pomfret Forest land, but the tone out, the call for emergency services called them to the nearest place.
To get to the people, they had to go through the airline trail, but it didn't happen on the airline trail.
There's all kinds of stuff online, you know.
I think it's important as a leader to be very clear of what happened before you speak to the media.
I have, which was factual from the emergency responders from Eastford and from our fire chief, which, you know, certain first responders who were on the scene had reported inaccurate information, which is unfortunate because the primary concern should be the person who had the accident, not
going on Winnie, giving the wrong information. That should not be the primary concern, which is what happened.
An unfortunate situation that won't go away. But
it is an unfortunate situation that won't go away, but I'm sorry. If the concern was the person, then you shouldn't be on Winnie at all, making false statements with false information that you were supposedly giving. Like, I don't know. And it's interesting to me, why is Winnie calling her and talking to her about that incident, but we have a child molester at Matchmucket and you didn't know until you read it on Winnie, and Winnie didn't call you about that? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, I have spoken with her myself. She called me to say that she felt terrible about the way the news had misrepresented the whole incident and was very regretful about the way things had turned out. That's all I have for the update. Okay. Is there anything else?
No, that's just what I wanted to know, if there were any repercussions from the accident that happened.
No, there's no lawsuits.
Good. But it happened in the Pomfret Forest.
Okay, anything else? The 26-27 budget discussion. We were asked by the Board of Finance to make a cut.
Here's another good one. So the Board of Finance asked the Board of Selectmen to make a cut on the proposed budget.
In our spending.
$20,000 reduction on spending.
And they had recommended, I don't have it in front of me, but they had recommended 4 areas of cut. One was the
Abington Library,
Historical Department,
snow removal.
So we did make some reductions in there. We had a reduction because we're not doing household hazardous waste, so we spread out the reduction and put a contingency line in at the recommendation of our town administrator, which we had years ago. I went back and looked in our budgets and we had that. And, you know, somewhere along the line it got eliminated as one of those budget reduction items. But there certainly are times when the budget this tight really needs a contingency line. So since the last time we approved our budget, there were some additions and reductions in the spending. So those are listed at the top of this explanation sheet. And then the cuts are indicated at the bottom. And I would like to approve this reiteration of the budget to go back to the Board of Finance for their public hearing on April 27th. Is there any questions about this?
Yeah. So the snow removal got reduced to 7,000. Okay. The rec department from 4,000 to 3,000. The historical society 1,000 to 500, and the Abington Library 5,000 to 3,000. And then you stuck all the rest of it down in this 65.
In the contingency.
Why was the contingency transfer there again? Can you remind me?
That's for when you have unexpected items, so that way you're not unexpected things that crop up, like a really bad snow removal year, or mechanical issue with one of your buildings that crops up in the middle of the year, you're not looking at going to unassigned fund balance.
So what Martha caught here was that they were told by the Board of Finance to take $20,000 off their spending. What they decided to do was take the $20,000 off their spending, but they reallocated some of that to a contingency line. So it's not coming off the budget. You're not saving $20,000 off the budget. It's just going into this contingency line that apparently had been there in years past, but wasn't there anymore. But we seem to think there's a lot of contingency baked into a lot of different places, like namely the roads was one of our biggest questions. It looks like a big contingency has been going into the roads every year. But yeah, so don't let it fool you. It wasn't 20,000 coming completely off the budget. It was supposed to be to reduce their spending, which they just decided to, hey, let's just take it and throw it in contingency for some of it. And so that's what you hear here in Martha's questioning about.
You have flexibility within your budget to be able to address unforeseen, especially with this tight of a budget where you're budgeting really to what I would consider base core day-to-day operation with
Not true.
with no ability to manage even minor
Agree to disagree.
So Mary, the other question I wanted to ask, and I think you mentioned it in our last meeting, the contingency should really be a much higher percentage of our budget than this is.
This is very small. I mean, we had talked about getting an initial amount in, and then potentially over the years growing that to, $15,000 or $20,000. So that way, when you have something that occurs, you have somewhere to contemplate before you're hitting the fund balance. And especially as you're considering cutting snow removal.
I know.
Coming off of a year of heavy snow removal.
I know.
We don't know what that looks like. And to be fair, you don't want to budget for this snow removal year every year either, right?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Because we don't have that all the time.
Nope. So putting in contingency makes sense in that aspect, but just the way that they went about this whole thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
The Historical Society will be happy, as opposed to the rec department too.
So the meeting stops there. I don't have the adjournment audio portion of it, but that's at the end of the meeting. So I did think those things are pretty interesting. When you're not paying attention, it's easy to miss these things. But yeah, why didn't the Board of Selectmen address the questions that Martha and I brought up to the Board of Finance? And why didn't the Board of Finance address the questions that we brought up to the Board of Finance? What is the role of the Board of Finance if it's not to ask questions and make sure things are being done appropriately in town financially? And it's just wild. So that is my reaction to this week's Board of Selectmen meeting. It's very interesting. I don't know why. I think they're very interesting. I am very happy that they're getting recorded, at least by Martha, so I can listen to them when I'm driving, and now I can bring them to you guys and give you a little added commentary towards it, some things to think about. And thanks for watching this. It's my first one. Not going to be my last one. If you like it, let me know. If you have questions, let us know. Happy to answer them anytime. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.